What's going on, Paisanos? V here, coming to you guys, well, with another market watch today. It's pointless to go in the beginning of the week and talk about Phantom Nightmare. The way I see it is because it's just basically a really hard set to predict the prices of. We don't know. We have zero idea what was going to happen with this set. I predicted that it was going to be relatively expensive. Not expensive as YuGiOh Overlord, but still a relatively expensive set. I mean, there's a lot of core cards that are going to be needed here. So before we talk about Promethean Princess and all the fire stuff, I want to talk about Voice's Voice, because I feel like in the Voice's Voice, it had a decent showing its first debuted week. And I think that within the next core set, Voice's Voice becomes a real meta contender. I would even say it might even have the edge over a deck like, well, the fire decks you see right now. So it's obviously really important for a lot of players to buy Voice's Voice, and they've been doing it. And obviously they're playing with those decks, and they're really good. Don't get me wrong, I think Voice's Voice is a relatively easy deck to beat if you know what you need to stop. Now, with that said, I'm personally looking to buy more Voice's Voice stuff. I want to buy max rarity. I just want to get that because it looks really nice if I can. I did pull one QCR low, but looking at Voice's Voice cards, the price is not even just QCRs. Regular Secret low is relatively expensive. It had a price, a tank when it first debuted to $62. And right now the price is roughly around $73. So it's holding relatively good. I mean, in the past month, you can see it really hold up. It went as high as 82, but it's starting to calm down. My prediction is I think low is going to be going more lower in value. And the reason why is relatively easy is because it's still not as good as fire decks. Even though I like Voice's Voice a lot, I do think they're going to be good in the next set. They're not good right now, but people are still buying them because they're getting ready for it. So that's what I think is going to happen with low. The other ultra rares, Saphira and all that stuff, it's around, but it's relatively inexpensive. I believe Saphira is like $2. Skull Garden also is relatively cheap. Yubel's $10. That caught me off guard. I actually pulled 4 of these. I unloaded them in my case. I would recommend you guys do that with yours. Yubel's a really cool deck, but once again, is it good? I don't know. Saphira, actually, no. Hold on. So Saphira's $11. The other Ultra Rare, Skull Guardian, he's a $2 one. Okay, that makes more sense. So Skull Guardian's $2. Saphira's $11. You're going to need 3 Saphiras, no matter what. You're going to need 2 Skull Guardians, no matter what. So you have to grab those set numbers. Once again, I think Voice's Voice is decent now, but it gets really good in next core set. And if you want to get the high rarity stuff, obviously low QCR has been spiking in value. It debuted roughly around 150. The current price is about $240 a copy for the QCRs. Saphira is obviously up there as well. It debuted roughly around 125. It's around 148. So that's a decent amount of money for that card, obviously. Skull Guardian actually did the opposite. It was 150. And it went down in values, roughly around 124. Now, me personally, if you are looking to buy max rarity Voice's Voice, I would wait. Because once again, I do think as the meta progresses, the prices will go down on all of Voice's Voice stuff. The people that want to get the deck immediately in preparation for the next set pretty much did. So everyone who opens Phantom Nightmare is going to be dumping their Voice's Voice cards. I'll tell you right now, I'm looking to dump all my Voice's Voice extra cards, and more likely all those players will, as well as those players who just aren't interested in it because they bought fire decks. Speaking of fire decks, QCR Promethean Princess looks absolutely gorgeous. With that said, it had a debut price of around $550, pre-sale price I should really say. The current price is roughly around $360. Now I thought this was going to hold $400, but it didn't actually. It's roughly around $360. It is going lower in value, which is good for anyone who wants to get it at a high rarity. Now Poplar is it's up there, roughly around $250 its debut price. It's about $190. I wouldn't be surprised this card holds a good $175 to $200 price point for the duration until, I'll say, after Nationals. You actually might start seeing it go lower. But if you want to go ahead and grab the Ultra Rares, Poplar is still a $38 Ultra Rare. Now, it's going down. Somehow it was 74, peak 78. Looking at it right now, it's roughly around $37, so it is going down. But more than likely, anybody else you talk to about grabbing the Ultra Rare Poplar, more than likely will price the card roughly around $40. I'm not going to say $37, unless you got someone who's really cool with you. This is going to be a $38 card. It's going to be a $38 card selling for $40. Promethean Princess debuted roughly around $75, and the current price has it roughly around $33. So I do think $30 is still a little bit pricey for this card. I do think it's going to go lower. I mean, if you look at the past month, I mean, obviously it's not been out that long, but if you look at it the way it is in the chart, it's going lower. Yes, it is a 2 of, but it's not. It's kind of like Poplar, where it's in a weird spot where people are going to value it high, even though it's low on TCG player, and that will kind of follow the trend as it falls down in value within the market. So there's other cards, obviously Goblin Bikers, and I want to build a Goblin Biker deck. Like I just want to. There's Horus's new card, but really haven't seen too much of Horus. And some other decent cards here. I know one thing that people kept asking me, and it was kind of annoying to be honest with you, is they were like going, "Hey V, is any of the where's that card? Any of the Ashen cards worth getting?" And the answer is no. Don't get me wrong. If you can get them for cheap, cool. If you bought a case, yeah, cherry pick them. Why not? But was it going to be meta relevant? No. But a lot of players like super adamant up because it looks nice, so it should play nice. Motherfucker. Really? In that case, a High Priestess of Prophecy, a whole spellbook engine would be one of the best decks in the game. Like, cut your horse shit. Like, people are just goofy. Don't get me wrong, the deck is good, but it'd be really good as a deck if it came out like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's not good now because we have the best deck in the game, arguably one of the best decks in the game, in the past couple of years, Fire King, as well as Voices Voice, which does get better. So, yeah, it's cool to hold this archetype. It's cool to have it. I own it, but it's just not worth like actually like playing it because you're gonna get cooked. Let's be real. Going over to Age of Overlord, this is still the best core set. I would argue probably the best core set we're gonna see in a very long time. The only closest to this as a core set, oddly enough, is something like Maximum Crisis, where like everything was gas. Going ahead and looking over the Age of Overlord, cards like Espional Knight is still rising in value, which is wild. I mean, this QCR, the chart shows it being 566 at peak. No, this card's $700 for the QCR, which is wild because the price for a while was roughly around $400. Another crazy expensive card is QCR, Superstar, Slayer, Typhon, blah, blah, blah. This card is rising. Past 3 months ago, it was roughly around 70. The price has it being roughly around 200. Now, I do think this card might start going lower in value because we're not seeing many Fire King decks play this, but we are seeing a lot of Voice decks play this. So there's a chance this card does rise again in the future. Obviously, the Wanted engine is really expensive, but we'll go ahead and look at the Secret Rare. The Secret Wanted engine used to be roughly around 120, 123. It is about $93, so it is kind of going down. But if you're playing Fire, you wouldn't notice the difference. You need 3 of this. And looking at the other cards, I mean, there's a lot of cards. So, Arius, the Labyrinth Butt looks really cool as a QCR. But look at this. It hit 100, and then we had the set, then we had the debut of Phantom Nightmare, and now it's falling down. I predict this QCR is going to be going down a lot more. It's currently $75. That is way overpriced for what it is going to be. Even though I like Labyrinth a lot, they're very expensive, and they're just not worth that much money at the moment right now. Even though the deck's fun and it's good and I enjoy it, and I guarantee a lot of other players enjoy it, if you can't stop your opponent or slow your opponent down turn 1, you're losing. Period. The end. That's going to happen. And once again, I think there are a lot of cool, interesting cards. Obviously, Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes starting to see some play. And its price has risen. It was roughly around $19. The current price has it roughly around $43 in value. We're going to move ahead to QCRs in 25th Anniversary Collection. So I always talk about this set because I always want to like grab the duality of the value of this set compared to its other high rarity counterparts. With Ash from Joyous Spring, it is the highest rarity, so it maintains the highest value. It's also one of the most played cards in the game. And it was roughly around almost near 170 at peak. The price has went down a bit, it's roughly around 165. But if you're buying this, you're buying 3. So that's why the price is really maintaining such good value. The only way this card, in my opinion, goes down in value, if we potentially see an Ultimate Rare, which hopefully we do, because I think it'll look amazing, or if we see a Starlight Rare, which the odds are it's probably not going to happen, because QCRs have pretty much replaced Starlight Rares. Looking at Infinite Permanence, it's another great example of this trying to be the best rarity, but it's not. So Infinite Permanence Ultimate QCR is roughly around $67. Now, if you said, V, what about Ultimate Rare? Well, Ultimate Rare, the regular Ultimate Rare, not the quarter century Ultimate Rare Infinite Permanence. The regular Ultimate Rare Infinite Permanence is pretty much stabilizing, but listen, you wouldn't know because your wallet is telling you it's 130. Now, it was 140, so it went down $10, but once again, it's only probably going down because people are selling this in lieu of the QCR, which, don't get me wrong, looks really nice, but Ultimate Rare is still the highest value. Moving on to Valiant Smashers, I still like Centurions. I still like them a lot. I really want to buy this deck core badly, but it's not good, and unfortunately, that's the case. I always found like Centurion, a Horus deck, which sounds really good. You will see some decks, some of those decks like sprout up in the OCG, but not a lot. It's realistically, and it's sad to say this, Valiant Smashers is not an old set, but Centurions is almost, I would argue, a rogue deck. Yikes. But it's so expensive and it looks so nice. But it's basically like we need support for this, okay? We need support for this. Now, I don't think Centurions is bad. Once again, I mean, one card full combo is always a fun thing to say, and Centurions is basically that. But the issue still is there's just better one card full combos that blow Centurions out the water, and the board isn't immutable from being broken. Their board gets broken relatively easily by fire decks. And it's hard for Centurions to get around Voice's Voice, especially with the new stuff coming out as well. Alright, looking over at Mesa Millenia, obviously transaction rollbacks going down, 107, you see it as listing as low as 85. Thrust holding $40 makes sense to me. I mean, it's not really seeing as much play, but I think every road deck is trying to play Thrust. Every meta deck is just not caring about Thrust to play, which is weird to see because a couple of months ago, it was not even that long ago actually, it was the opposite where meta decks were playing Thrust because it's expensive and you need it, and non-meta decks just can't afford Thrust, so forget about it. Then we have another card, Jet Synchron. I talked about this card when it first came out for the CR. And went as low as $51. The current price of cards almost near the $60 mark. Yeah, one over here at $58. Then it starts hitting $60. Jet Synchron is a must-have card. Period. The end. No discussion about it. If you're looking to play pure Snake Eyes. If you're looking to play the Fire King deck, it's a tech choice. Though I will say, this one-card tech choice can make you go into Borrowed Savage and Barone, so pretty good tech choice. Nevertheless, Jet Synchron is going to maintain a good value. I wouldn't be surprised if the price actually rises, because one card puts out 2 Omni Negates in majority of boards, so really good card. Bonfire was roughly around, I believe, 115 to 120. Looking at the past month, it's calmed down. It's 123 at peak, by the way. It's calmed down a little bit. It's only 118 for an ultra rare. Now, I made an argument I would not buy the QCR, the CR version of Bonfire unless I could rarely swap because I already own the Ultra Rare, so I would pay extra. That's what I would consider doing. But that's only because I want to max rating my deck. That's something I would like to do. With that said, I'm not in a rush to buy the CR Bonfire because Konami says QCR for every CR. And in my last video, we talked about how the fact that CRs basically are just a QCR waiting room. So I wouldn't rush to Bonfire CRs. If you can get your Ultra Rares, cool, and then you can ready swap them, good. But if not, who cares? That's the way I see it. Once again, I think Ultra Rare Bonfires do the same job as CR Bonfires. But QCR Bonfires, they literally search for 2 cards. That's what I heard. Other cards like Match Inspector Raccoon, Bumbunku. I think Match Inspector would be insane had Fire just never existed. If Fire never existed, we might as well be talking about Voice's Voice and Match Inspectors in the meta. Unfortunately, Fire exists, so this is not being talked about. We have also a CR Multifaker. I kind of like this. I always like Geist Gang for life. The problem is there are better control decks. The best control deck, I would argue, is Labyrinth. And what I just said about Labyrinth, even more so I said about Geist. Like, Geist is good, but it gets badly beaten by fire decks. All right, moving over to Duelist Nexus. Not much really to say here. I think this deck has been beaten to death badly. The only thing I want to note for everybody is if for combo decks in the future, Revolution Synchron might be a good card. The QCR is still falling in value, so there's no really need to go ahead and buy that. Sinful Spoils of Subversion is starting to see meta play, and that's why you're seeing the price go from 54. In the past month, you're seeing it still go down, but it's starting to stabilize. This current card right now is roughly around $37. After that one sells, by the way, it goes to 44. It is a tech choice. That's all it is. That's all it's going to be. A tech choice. I think some players are saying you have to play it. Some players are just not playing at all. I personally think so. In the Fire Engine, you have an extra Snake Eye spell you can play. Some are opting to play a second copy of some are opting to play Divine Temple to Snake Eyes. Some are opting to play the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye card to bring out level 1, the second version, and some are opting to play Subversion. So it really depends on what you want to do. I like Subversion a lot, to be honest with you, but I also like consistency, and playing a second copy of the wanted Snake Eye card, it just makes more sense to me because the more consistent you are, the more wins you're going to have, obviously. All right, going ahead over to Wild Survivors. Oh, man. You know, I will say for dinosaur players, they're probably excited to get some nice high rarity stuff, even though, once again, QCR waiting room. For Vanquish Soul players, I'm telling you right now, that deck max rarity probably looks clean as a motherfucker. By the way, don't tell me that about that CR tanky, okay? We have Ultimate Rare tankies. Ultimate tankies with a CR Vanquish Soul core. That's the cleanest deck in the game. The problem is, once again, you still lose to everything in the game. With that said, I do like fan controls a lot, and once again, something I would love to buy in the future myself, to have a deck core up, put to the side. But once again, the biggest issue is, it says CR on it, and that's a QCR waiting room. And QCR Mad Love probably beats out CR. But I mean, Mad Love right now is roughly around 38 bucks. It was going for about 52 bucks not 3 months ago. Once again, great card, good artwork. I really wish Konami made a and this is the thing about Konami, like, you have certain archetypes where you can make a playmat and YuGiOh players will go crazy for. With Wild Survivors coming out, I really wish Konami had like a thing for locals where everyone could have won a playmat, because a playmat would have been insane. All right, moving over to Cyberstorm Access. So obviously one of the best decks that you don't have to pay a lot of money for at the moment is branded, but you still have to buy Guiding Quem. Now, this card sees play as a one of. Someone playing two. I don't agree with two. I like one of a lot more. You're going to need this card. You're also going to need Albion and Sanctifier Dragon. It's roughly around $17. You're going to need this card as well. But the rest of the brand deck is relatively inexpensive, and locking your opponent out is still a real thing. Locking a fire play out, locking a voice player out, locking anyone out, you basically win the game. Brand does have a bit of a tough time against Labyrinth, but if you run Dragoon, you don't have a tough time against Labyrinth. That's how it works. So, like, if you're a Brandon player and you're watching this video, just know that. Like, if you're like, V, how do I beat Labyrinth? Just bring a Dragoon on that bitch. Look at him and go, all right, deal with that shit. Like, they can, but it's really hard to do that. With that said, once again, I think Labyrinth is a phenomenal archetype. Brandon is a phenomenal archetype. Labyrinth's good too. Brandon is a phenomenal archetype. Players are still winning with it, and more than likely will continue winning with it. It's another deck I still have put to the side, because I think that this deck is super slept on until you play against it, and they go first. And if you play a card like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, which I don't know why, this deck blows my mind. So every Brandon player, as far as Ash, they go, that's fine, we can play around it. We still do our plays. Every non-Brandon player is like, oh, I just played Ash and I beat you. Bro, with that mentality, you probably lose to every Brandon player. Because there are so many branded decks out there right now that are hoping you play Ash so they could just cook you and lock you out. Like, every branded player wants you to do that. You understand that, right? Like, in order for Brandon to lose to Ash, they have to rely solely on Branded Fusion, which a lot of branded players really don't. So I do think Branded is one of those decks out right now that, once again, gives you a false sense of security if you think that you're just going to be able to beat it with an Ash Blossom. Like, go ahead and Ash a Branded player. Unless they just open not well or they're not that good at the deck, you Ash a Branded player and they open decently, they can still play through it relatively easily. Looking over at Amazing Memories, the only card added set that's worth anything. Guardian Commander is not bad, but it's definitely went down in value. But Excel Synchron Stardust Dragon. So this card right here has been going up and down, and you can see it's going down right now. Still going down, roughly around 37. The price point of this card is roughly around 29. Now, it's 29 for the Ultra Rare. For the CR version, once again, it's up to you if you want to buy these. You can see it dipping. I mean, it was roughly around 59. The current price of this card is roughly around $66. After that one sold, you see just 70s across the board. This card is seeing some play. Some voice players are playing this. I don't agree with this card being played in voice. I think it's cool to put another Omni-Negate, but the idea of voice is not having Omni-Negates. The idea of voice is having towers. So I think this is cool. It's nifty, but I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. Looking over at Fon Hyper NOA, once again, you have expensive cards like Mirror Jade and Grand Guigono. I will say this Mirror Jade right here, Starlight Rare, I paid $400 for mine each. They're $200 now, which is pretty good for a Starlight Rare. Although you could get Mirror Jade as an Ultra Rare, so there's that. Grand Guigono is $14, or you can spend a couple of bucks more, and depending on how you want to do it, you can get the Starlight Rare, which is about $100, which is the price I think is a very fair price for it. It's been stable like that for a while, by the way. That's just something for the Brando players out there want to know that. Obviously, you can get Talents at $47 compared to the Ultra, which is $40, so there's that. And, of course, we got to talk about QCRs. So, I do think QCRs is good because they can play Shifter. You play Shifter, you can't say your deck is bad, but you can't say your deck is good. You're in a weird limbo. It's hard to say because there are some Shifter decks, like we'll say Exorcisters, that I like a lot, but it's tier 2. We know that. And then there are some Shifter decks like QCRs, where it's like, all right, even if you don't open Shifter, you're still in a really good spot because you're a real pain in the ass deck for players to deal with. But is it tier 2 or is it tier 1.5? It's not tier 1. It's just not going to happen. But is it tier 2 or 1.5? That's basically the question when it comes down to QCR players. So let me know in the comments down below if you are playing QCRs. Is it worth it? With that said, would you spend money on QCRs or would you spend money on other decks that are a little bit higher in the tier list? And that's the issue. If you're playing QCRs already, your answer is like, oh, I'm good to go. But if you're a player who wants to play a meta deck but not spend a lot of money, would you really play QCRs or would you play branded? I would opt to play branded. Then again, I know how to play them better, but I would opt to play branded because locking your opponent out pretty much auto wins you the game. Going second, you are still a threat to a lot of boards. And a deck like Voice's Voice, well, Mary Jane isn't target. That's a real pain he has to deal with. Fon Albas isn't target. So, I mean, it's up to you what you want to do, but I'm telling you right now, I would opt to brand it in this meta, but it's hard to say that QCRs are something you guys got to push to the side. They're not. They can mess you up badly. Then we have amazing defenders. I love how 141 is increasing in value. I talked about this a while ago. The price was $40 when I bought mines. The card price right now for the CR is about $80. Now, once again, QCR, yes, but $40 for a CR, in my opinion, was dirt cheap. The price has since then doubled. 141's being seen in a lot of fire decks because, hey, listen, if you Imperm, you Ash, 141 just kind of wins. You have to open 3 hand traps. Imperm Ash doesn't do nothing in the face of 141, which is absolutely wild, but it's true. So I do think 141's a card that's almost a needed card. Now, some people are not deciding not to play 141 and they're looking to play Monster Reborn. It's not a bad card. I just think 141's better, but it's up to you whether you want to play 141 or Monster Reborn. But that's what I think about that. Also, I'm just going to go back real quickly. Obviously, all the Rescue stuff got reprinted, so the prices went down in value. But Hydra's still $55, and Rescue is still a really good deck. Anyone else playing Prolease, by the way? Just let me know. Then we have Access Code Talker. So Access Code Talker is starting to get taken out of a lot of extra decks, particularly the Tier 1 Fire extra deck. And the price of Solid Rare has pretty much tanked. It's roughly around 300. We know QCR's on the way. The price is 228. I think with a QCR Access Code Talker, the price of Starlight Rare Access Code Talker would go down. With that said, in time, the Starlight Rare would increase. So that's my prediction for this card. I personally own the Starlight Rare, so you can say I'm a little biased, but that's the truth. I do think this will increase because this is still a higher rarity version. Even though the QCR looks nice, there's always going to be the Starlight Rare, which will always have better value. So 228 is not a bad price point for Access Code Talker. It is on sale, in my opinion. And yes, some fire decks are not playing this, some are. I like Justin Singh's fire deck, which pretty much played the Access Code Talker package and played the new fire, basically water, destruction, fire, Raging Phoenix package. So I like both these packages in the deck because, like, hey, if I can't Access Code Talker you, I'm just gonna do this other play, and then you still die. So I like that a lot, to be honest with you. Justin Singh got second place at the Illinois Regionals recently. Really good deck list. And then we have Darkwing Blast. So once again, there's your Blazing Cartesia Starlight Rare, 163, not a bad price. Then your Secret Rare Blazing Cartesia is 350. They got a reprint. World Sea Atlantis, this World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis is the card I'm talking about. It has since then risen in value. It was roughly around $1, by the way, but the current value of this card is now about $4 to $5. You just need one, though, so it's not really going to spike crazy high in value, but you definitely need it. And as far as Lady Labyrinth, there she is right there. Listen, max rarity Labyrinth is probably insane, but spending $200 and seeing the card price go to $153, that hurts a lot too. Values of a lot of cards going to be going down in value and ultimately going back up in value. So the Yu-Gi-Oh market works, but still, Max Rarity Labyrinth looking good. And I wouldn't blame anyone playing Max Rarity Labyrinth because you paid a lot of money, you want to get a lot of mods in that deck, and it's a really good deck to get a lot of mods on. So I want to give a quick shout out to YuGiOh marketnews.com. This website's really cool. Once again, YuGiOh marketnews.com. You can see the top cards. They use TCG Play's API. You can see the top cards for the past 7 days and see how they're rising in value. You can do it 30 days. You can kind of see the top cards. It's kind of like how I think it was Yu-Gi-Oh card prices was, where you can grab a card and then see the top prices and how fast it moved up. Once again, you can look in the 30 days, and you can see over here. They also have a compact view, so it makes it a lot easier for your eyes. And this definitely reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it was like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, YuGiOhCardPrices.com. You can see a bunch of cards, how they've risen. Once again, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. Really easy. They have a bunch of other features as well. So YuGiOhMarketNews.com, pretty good website. Once again, they didn't ask me or they didn't pay me to do this. They emailed me and said, hey, would you like to check out our website and maybe talk about it? And yeah, I would love to because I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool to find a really easy way to see what has spiked in value, because sometimes you find something like this over here, like Majesty's Pegasus. So this evidently has risen in value. Let's go ahead and check it out real quickly. So Majesty's Pegasus, Super Rare Dimension of Chaos. This is one of those cards that are really hard to find because no one's really looking for them. But I mean, you can see in the past year, it was like $2. It has definitely risen in value. It's roughly around $18 from $2. And if you go over here, once again, they pretty much say, hey, look, there it is right there, $18. So That's something that's really cool to note for some of these websites. Once again, the website, I'll put a link down below. YuGiOh Definitely go ahead and check them out. Guys, definitely looking to add more to the website, but I always love websites to find really cool prices like this. Paisanos, thank you so much, guys, for watching my videos. Listen, I know I've been doing videos sporadically. I've been really busy with work, a lot of work, with crypto stuff, a lot of crypto stuff, so I'm kind of all over the place. I am looking to stream again. I've been testing the crap out of a lot of meta decks, mostly Voice and Fire, so I'll be playing those on my streams coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. Twitch TV, YuGiOh_Paisano. Links down below. Check it out. Anyway, it's your boy V, and you guys have a great day.